All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to number 60, the 60th SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. Recognize that riff? We're going to be talking about that tonight. And a lot of other stuff. My name is Jonathan. Hey, everybody. I see a bunch of familiar names in the chat already. That's awesome. Hello, everybody. Hope you had a great week. I had a great week. My birthday week. I had a birthday a few days ago. I'm going to tell you about some cool stuff I picked up on my birthday. Mostly I'm here for your questions, so get your questions ready. That's why I'm here. If and when you do ask a question, please put a bunch of question marks, not the letter Q, question marks ahead of your question, and that's how I'll know you're aiming your question at me. In between your questions, there's a bunch of things I want to share with you, including a bunch of cool things I found on my birthday that I just had to acquire. Other things that we're going to talk about tonight. We have a poll question up and running already. Poll question, very simple question. Do you have your guitar with you right now in your hands? I don't think I ever asked you guys that in the last 59 live streams. I don't think I ever asked it as a question for everybody, at the moment. So go ahead and let us know in the chat. I cannot see who individually is voting. So if you are somewhat, if you don't want everyone to know that you don't have your guitar with you at the moment, it's all right. You can still vote. No one will know. It's all anonymous. But I'm kind of curious. I operate here as if we do all have our guitars handy. Those of you who are watching this in the future, I imagine you do have your guitar handy. But some of you might be enjoying these programs, and for logistical reasons, you just don't have your guitar with you at the moment. So go ahead and let us know that in the poll. Other things that I want to share with you this week. Chord royalty. I call these chords chord royalty. And you got to know your chord royalty, and you got to know why they are so significant. We are going to learn some more of Stairway to Heaven. We are learning Stairway to Heaven backwards. Last week, we learned the last 2 minutes or so of Stairway to Heaven. We're going to learn the little interlude that leads into that part. It's only about 20 seconds of music. And the reason we are learning Stairway to Heaven from back to front is because the song actually gets easier chronologically. Once you get past that intro, in a lot of ways, the song gets easier, and I will prove it to you. So stick around for that. I want to talk to you a little bit about the whole phenomenon that we deal with as people who play musical instruments of staying one step ahead of the song and what that means. I have a Bruce Lee quote for you. Maybe the first time I've shared a Bruce Lee quote in a live stream. I have a dumb question, my own dumb question to ask. I have a quote of the week, not a student quote of the week. Today's quote of the week comes from a terrific guitar player named Paul Gilbert. And I thought it was such an interesting quote that I did my little deep dive on Paul Gilbert. And I dug up a very cool lesson from Paul Gilbert that I'm going to share with you as well. We have our 41st, I believe, play along song of the week. It's a good one. It's a famous tune from a few decades ago. I'll give you a clue. The song that we are going to learn how to play along with this week, the singer who sang the song at the time it was recorded was only about 17 years old. So I wonder if anyone can take a wild guess. And I got a bunch of other little things to tell you about. So we will have a great time today, and I'm happy to be here. So Bruce, I see your question right there. I'm going to jump on Bruce's question. And Bruce says, by the way, Bruce, hello, and hello to Byron there in Sydney, Australia. Bruce says he's been working on the opening to Stairway to Heaven, the beginning part. Can I think of any famous songs or song parts that develop guitar technique? Yeah, I mean, they all do, right? Every time that you pursue a song note for note and try to get it exactly right, you are working on your technique. But some songs are more relevant than others, I guess I would say. And by that, I mean, If you get that song down, it's going to help you out with a million other songs. And it's not necessarily a hard song that will give birth to other songs, so to speak. Off the top of my head, Wish You Were Here. Wish You Were Here is a great way to invest your time. Quick example, we have the that melodic. I know it's kind of quiet. We have that melodic intro, right? Okay, that right there, getting good at that, awesome. Great challenge for both your right and your left hands. Then we have that cool guitar solo that comes in the second time around. One of my favorite guitar solos of all time. Not too hard, but not too easy, you know. And then when the vocals come in, you just have some nice chord strumming. So you think you can tell. Just regular chords, C, D, G. Chance to brush up on those and make sure you can keep a nice basic strum going while you change chords. So Bruce, that's one that comes to mind. I would say I was going to say it's easier than Stairway to Heaven. You know, it's so hard to compare songs. I can't tell you how often I've had one student say, wow, this thing is impossible. And the next student come in and say something totally different is the thing that's bugging them. I've had students who swear up and down that the C chord is just killing them. They're never going to get the C chord right, you know. And other people, majority, it's the F chord that's making them crazy, you know. I don't know. So Bruce, let me think of one more. Guitar technique. Well, for finger picking, Dust in the Wind. Dust in the Wind is a great sort of a foundation piece. If you can play Dust in the Wind properly, you know, the way the song really goes, the real right hand, the real finger picking pattern, that's another song. I assume every guitar teacher on the planet teaches Dust in the Wind for anyone who wants to pursue fingerstyle guitar. So those are a couple that come to mind. I'm sure I'll come across more, but those are some that come to mind. You know, that when you learn the note for note version of that song, you really get it right, you'll find the skills that you now have, you're going to be using more and more and more. Hey, our Christian from Denmark, I'm so glad you're with us, because some of you might remember I was giving a plug to my friend Johnny Burgin, who plays blues guitar all over the world. Bear with me here. And I mentioned Johnny Burgin is going to be in your neighborhood sooner or later, because he tours all over the place, certainly around the continental US and all over the world. Well, don't you know, Christian, Johnny's in Denmark right now. And just to prove a point, okay, August 15th for days and days and days, for the rest of August, starting on the 15th, Johnny is playing at a blues festival in Aalborg, Aalborg. So those of you who are curious, head over to Johnny's website, which I'm going to assume is johnnyburgin.com. Bear with me, guys. But anyways, Christian, I made a note when I saw he was in Denmark. I made a note to bring it up just in case I saw that you were in the chat this week. And if by some chance you happen to go to the blues festival where Johnny's playing, you got to tell him that Jonathan from Connecticut, you got to tell him that Jonathan sent you. And you know what he's going to say? He's going to say, man, that's a small world. Okay, I put Johnny's website in the in the chat. All right, Christian. Hey, I can check that off my list. That was on my list. Make sure I tell Christian about Johnny Burgin. All right, Johnny and I knew each other back in Chicago, and we still stay in touch. And okay, checked off my list. Okay, everybody, keep those questions coming in. I see we have a lot of familiar names and faces. Digitalio says that you are going to go see David Gilmour at the Hollywood Bowl on Halloween. How cool is that? Very fun. I think David Gilmour is going to be coming east as well. I believe Madison Square Garden in the days right after that. He's on tour, man. Mr. Pink Floyd. Zoologia Zombie. Hello, Zoologia says that where Zoologia Zombie lives living in a flat, an apartment. It's 11 p.m. at the moment, and if you grabbed your guitar, you get kicked out of the building. See, that's what I mean, right? So some of us, you're not gonna have an opportunity for the guitar. It just doesn't work that way. Christian says it's in northern Denmark. Okay, I believe he's playing other places, but that's now bear with me because some of these might not even be in Denmark anymore. Tonight he's still in Aalborg. Then next comes Silkeborg, Silkeborg, Silkeborg. That's tomorrow night. On the 21st is Göteborg, Goteborg. And yeah, forgive me if my geology is bad. If some of these cities are no longer in Denmark. Anyways, he's over in your neighborhood. That's where he is, Beginner Guitar Lessons is our moderator. He's down in Louisiana, and Beginner Guitar Lessons says the heat here is unbearable. I'm sorry about that. The temps cooled down a bit here in Connecticut, and we actually had some wind blowing the humidity away a little bit. It's a beautiful thing. So my friends, let's talk about chord royalty. I thought that was a cute name. Chord royalty. What is chord royalty? The really important chords. I mean, the really, really, really important ones. The ones that get referred to over and over again, not just because someone uses D in a song a lot, although they do, but the D grip. The D grip is referred to constantly as you learn stuff up and down the neck. People say, oh, just a D, but at the 9th fret, it's a D, whatever, So what would I declare? What would I feel are the chord royalty chords? FDA, my friends, like the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Might as well start with the first one, F, right? Remember the whole caged system? I guess you could say this is my version of a caged system, but I'm going to boil it down to F, D, and A. So F on the 4 treble strings. Now, at the moment, I don't want you to worry about whether you're good at F or not. Because right now we're talking about the concept, okay? If anything, for those of you who are still working on your F chord, this will be just that much more motivation for getting good at F, right? By the way, if there's any trick to F besides practice, your fretting index finger, my left finger here, my left index, you want to roll it over onto its side. You should be squeezing with the side, the edge of your finger, not the squishy part. When you roll that finger over, your elbow is going to come in towards the guitar. That's a good thing. That'll help you squeeze with the side of that finger, okay? That is the trick. That's how you get consistently good sounds with the F. Still takes practice, but that's how you get success. And by the way, that same advice goes for bar chords. Roll over onto the edge of your index, the edge closest to your thumb, okay? And you can facilitate that by bringing the elbow in. If you're doing it correctly, your elbow is probably going to come in towards the guitar anyways. Okay, so the F chord, the first of our 3 royal chords here, that is a perfectly great sounding major chord. As you glide that F shape, the F formation up the neck, you get every possible major chord. Any major chord anyone ever asks you to play, you can play with the F grip. There are many, many, many riffs, countless riffs that are based on visualizing that pattern. You might not be grabbing that pattern, but you're doing things. You're doing things that bring those notes to life melodically. So even though I'm not strumming this chord, by the way, I just so happens I'm up at the 8th, 9th, and 10th frets. Even though I'm not strumming it, I'm picturing that, right? I'm picturing that, that F formation, okay? So many riffs involve exclusively those notes from the F formation, or it's based on those notes, but they're you can't do the riff without visualizing that grip, you know. The pinky, the F formation, as you guys know, the way I'm doing it right now, the four string, 3-finger F, the pinky is free, right? That is a beautiful thing. The pinky is available to add in all sorts of beautiful stuff. Just then, I'm back in my F position, back in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd frets. I'm back on my traditional F chord. My pinky can jump in and add the D note. That's the 2nd string, B string, 3rd fret, right there. I strum it with that pinky down, and then I strum it without the pinky. Beautiful thing. If that's easy, okay, you ready for a challenge? Pinky, get ready, stretching up 1 fret higher. Now notice, can you see how I had to push my wrist out a little bit? My pinky is now reaching up to B string, 2nd string, 4th fret. Okay, you're going to have to push your wrist out a little bit. Might not be easy at first, probably won't be easy at first, that's okay. But now you have access to the note E flat. E flat is the flatted 7th note of an F scale. It's a bluesy note. So when you add that note to the F formation, I just did 4th fret, 3rd fret, and then the pinky comes off. So many possibilities. Now, before some of you say, no, I'm never going to be able to reach, I cannot do that. You are my target audience. Check this out. Remember, the whole point here is this is chord royalty. F is something that we're going to use all up and down the neck. What I just did is a million times easier if I go up to where the frets are closely spaced. I'm gonna do this with my index finger fretting at the 8th fret. So I'm up at 8, 9, and 10. See how the pinky doesn't have to reach so far because the frets are close together? By the way, quick aside, tons and tons of things can and should be moved high up the neck, especially if it's something that involves a stretch that's not going well. Yeah, then just learn it high up the neck and then gradually move it back down to wherever your ultimate goal is. I'm not saying this is easy, but it's a lot easier than it was when it was way down at the 1st fret, right? Okay, so our number 1 member of the royal family, the F formation. And there's a reason why I'm not doing the bar chord F, because that's kind of a game changer. Because 1 bar chord, that's going beyond the scope of my little clickbait name here of chord royalty. I like staying focused on the skinny strings, okay? Because don't forget the other 2 members, FDA, Food and Drug Administration, D and A, okay? So that's why I'm focusing. I know some of you are like, I play F the big way. No, that's great. That's great, but for illustrative purposes, I'm focusing F right here. Okay, 2nd member of the royal family, good old D. Okay, nice humble D major chord, no big deal. For those of you who are relatively new to the guitar and your D is not always consistently good sounding, I'm willing to bet you anything it's because your ring finger is lightly dampening out the skinny string and you get that sound. I know. We've all been there, right? When you correct that, and to the best of your ability, you arch your ring finger so the ring finger doesn't touch the skinny string. And it's going to take some practice, I know. But as you work on that, you are having an effect on the tendons and ligaments and stuff in that finger. You're teaching that finger to bend. And it could happen quickly. It might not happen quickly, but it's worth it. Don't forget super short fingernails, as short as you can get them. Even medium long fingernails will mess you up. Okay, so the D chord, number one, sounds great all over the neck, and personal favorite. Good old Jessica, Dickie Betts and the Allman Brothers. Literally, he based that beautiful Jessica riff on the D major formation, just way up at the 9th and 10th frets. Okay, so there's not just a chord you can strum, but there's literally a famous guitar instrumental where you are basing the main riff on the D formation. It's so high up the neck, the name was now changed to A, right? Because we moved through the musical alphabet: D, E, F, G, A. Okay, bottom line is, just like with the F, the D is a nice closed little grip. For our purposes, I am going to encourage you to only strum the 3 strings you're touching, okay? No open strings whatsoever. But now you have a major chord grip. You can move up and down everywhere. The pinky, again, secret weapon. The pinky is available to suspend the chord at any moment. Good old Tom Petty knew that. Okay, to suspend the D chord, take your pinky. In this case, I'm doing the traditional D in the traditional location. Pinky, first skinny string, E string, 3rd fret. The chord is now suspended. What does that mean? It means it's neither major nor minor. When you take your pinky off, you're back to D major, right? Think about that. Free falling, suspended. You're in midair. Kind of a coincidence, but I don't know. You know, suspended chord. I love that name, suspended. Okay. Well, you can take that D grip, and you can, wherever you put it, you can suspend that chord. If that sounds familiar, oh yeah, you've heard that. You've heard that a million times. Again, the pinky's a secret weapon. We're not using it. It can jump in. Okay, how about this? I'm going to illustrate this higher up, because what I'm about to show you involves one of those reaches that some of you are going to say, oh, I can't do that. So let's put it up at the 7th, 8th, 7th fret. The D formation, 7, 8, 7, okay? Officially, that's a G chord. I know it looks like a D, right? But not D anymore. When you get up that high, the name is now changed to G. Okay, what are we going to do with our pinky? Check it out. My pinky is coming down on the 3rd string, G string, 9th fret. See it right there? By the way, you got a nice dot right there at 9, right? Got to love your dots, odd numbers. You guys know that, right? 3, 5, 7, and 9, right? Frets on odd numbers. Okay, when I add that note to the D formation, no matter where the D formation is, when I add that note to the D formation, I'm adding the 6th note of the relevant scale. In this case, that's a G chord. I'm adding the 6th note of a G scale that happens to be the note E. And in my mind, this is kind of a rockabilly, early rock and roll kind of sound. You're welcome to call it whatever you want to call it, including simply adding the 6th note of the scale to the chord. Beautiful thing. Again, just like I said about the F chord, there are plenty of riffs, like the Jessica riff, actually. There are plenty of riffs where you may not be holding the whole chord down, but the notes you're playing are directly from the D formation. You know, so visualizing that D grip, that D formation, is going to help you play a lot of riffs. And for that reason, D is chord royalty. Now, before I get to the A, you might say to yourself, well, what about G? I mean, G is a really popular chord. You can play it with your middle ring and pinky. You can play it with your index, middle, and ring. You can do the 4-finger G. Some of you really cheat and you do like a 1-finger G. You just strum the skinny strings. You know, how can G not be chord royalty? I thought you'd never ask. It's because of all those open strings. The G chord does not nicely move up the neck, not harmonically. As your fingers move up the neck, the open strings still sound like the exact same open strings, and you get bad sounds. G is not a great chord for moving around. Don't do it. You're going to get bad sounds. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but if you no talking. It's just not convenient. You know, it's not. Is it humanly possible? Sure. Same thing with C. It's humanly possible to do a bar and then maintain the C shape. But we're talking about royalty, my friends. We're not talking about like, you know, earls and dukes. We want the king, the queen, maybe a princess, but not, you know, not the rinky-dink stuff, you know. Okay, the A chord. Maybe my favorite one, because as you guys know, I love my 1-finger A chord. The A chord has the open, skinny first string. We're going to ignore that for a second because we have everything we need with the 3 fingers. By the way, F major, D major, A major, all 3 of these chords are triads. Fancy way of saying they contain 3 different notes. All 3 of the notes we need to produce an A major chord are right there under our fingertips, right? So for the moment, I am going to clamp down on my A. I'm only going to pick the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Okay, so why is A chord royalty? Because Keith Richards says so. Because he wrote so many good songs based, based on moving that 1-finger major chord to different places along the up and down the neck, and then in his case, you know, adding on extra notes to. You know, adding on extra notes to get melodic, you know, but it's all based on the A major chord, in this case, doing it with 1 finger. Okay. Now, what if you want to incorporate that skinny string? The skinny first string is open, right? When you do the traditional A chord. Well, here's how you incorporate it. You make up for it. I can give you an A major triad with the open first E string, but I'm going to put my pinky on the 2nd string, 2nd fret, and my ring finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And it's important to only use those 2 fingers, but those 2 specifically, right? Because I'm putting my index at 0. I know it's not doing anything. I know. But in a minute, I'm going to slide my whole hand up 1 fret. I was doing an A major chord. You could describe this one as an A sharp major chord, also described as a B flat major chord. 1 on the 1st string, 3 in the 2nd, 3 in the 3rd. Okay, now I have a major grip that's not particularly hard. It is 100% related to the A major chord. You just have to accept this new image of the A major chord, right? The A major boiled down to the 3 treble strings with the index finger making up for what used to be open, okay? I use this particular grip a ton as a D major chord, 5, 7, 7. Okay, take my word for it. 5 on the 1st string, 7 and 7 on the 2nd and 3rd strings. You get a lot of mileage out of this major chord in general, and specifically D. I find myself using this D a lot. So many riffs are based on that formation of a major chord. And again, it's related back to A. So that's why I call it A. That's why I call it royalty. Quick example. I love that, man. Okay, so what did I just do? I did a hammer on. Well, first of all, I'm at 5, 7, 7. There's my D chord. Now I'm going to do a hammer on the second string. And for that reason, I need to actually squeeze the second string with my index finger. Okay? So this is a double duty for the index, but it's to achieve this effect. It's going to be worth it. Okay, so 5, 7, 7. But even before I start, I'm going to do that little mini bar, sort of like, well, exactly like you would do for the F formation. Okay, little tiny bar, 5th fret, 1st and 2nd strings, index finger. My pinky is still on the 2nd string 7. My ring finger's on the 3rd string 7. Okay, so here's the hammer on. My pinky is off the guitar. I strum the 3 treble strings. And then my pinky hammers down 2nd string 7. What a cool sound. So it's a D chord, but it's a D chord with a little, there's some melody going on there. What a cool riff. Gotta love little hammer-on riffs in the treble strings. Okay. So those are 3 chords that and I'm not the only one, consider to be a step above all those other perfectly good chords like E minor, C. Nothing wrong with those chords. They're fine. They're fine. F, D, and A. You're going to find yourself playing so many things that relate back to what we just did. F, D, and especially this, either this, let's call it a modified A. It's still an A. Modified is not the best word, but, or the one finger A up and down the neck. There you go. Okay. Check. Chord-Melody. Check. Okay. I am scrolling a little bit, seeing who's doing what. I'm going to say some hellos in a minute. I'd like to get right into your questions. Chuck says, is that a new blues guidebook? No, that's the same one. Blues guide, available for free for you. Head over to song-bike.com, get you some free copy. There's a video that comes along with it. Maybe we'll play something from the blues guide tonight if we have time. I'm proud to say I've given away a lot of those, and it makes me happy. This one is not free. Great book. Also available from song-bike.com. Easy guitar, chord, and lead tricks by me. Both of these have videos that guide you through them. Okay. Joseph says, hello, Jonathan and all. Good lesson by Angela Petrilli on the Eagles' Lion Eyes. Okay. She explained the entire riff. I don't know her. You said you know Angela. I don't know her, but that's great. I'm glad you put her name in the chat. And Joseph, you didn't even know that you were setting me up for our next topic. I like the Eagles okay. Super successful, extremely good at what they do. I can't say they are my go-to band, but I certainly respect their talent and their success. And that is why, even though I was shopping for myself for my birthday, I wasn't shopping, for stuff I might use as for teaching tools. I was in the used bookstore. Okay. And I saw these Eagles books and I couldn't say no. Now, I have an Eagles book already. It's kind of like Easy Eagles, where it just says the lyrics and the chords, and that's all they tell you. But it's okay. I mean, I use it for teaching quite a bit. I was at the used bookstore, the Book Barn of Niantic, Connecticut. And I saw these 2 books and I thought, well, I got to get these books. And I'll tell you why. First, the Eagles Anthology Easy Guitar from Warner Brothers, way back in the day, were at a place called Half Price Books. They were trying to get $5.50 for it. Originally, it was $11, and then somehow it ended up at Half Price Books. They were getting $5.50. I got it for $4. So, I mean, I'll use this for teaching. It's possible that some of the ones in this book are not in my other Eagles book. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just end up giving it to a student. And someone who's like crazy about the Eagles, I'll be like, dude, $4. This will keep you busy for a while. We can do one song a month or something, get good at it. $4. But watch out. Anytime you see the word easy in the title, you know, what you get typically is, I know you can't see it too well, but what you get is, you know, the chord name, all the lyrics, which is great. You get the melody written out, which is almost never what you're looking for, right? You don't want to know how to sing it. You know how to sing it because you've heard the Eagles for, you know, 50 years. It doesn't tell you how to strum it, but you know, in some cases you have plenty of ideas how to strum it. You just need the chords and the words to put it all together. Or you bring it to your teacher and say, hey, I love this song. I just need to know, like, how should I strum it? How would you strum it? Okay. Hope you're sitting down. The same bookstore. I got to use two hands to lift this one. Holy cow. Look how thick that is. Okay. This one, the Authentic Guitar Tab Edition. Watch out. The Authentic Guitar Tab Edition, including the complete guitar solos for a whole bunch of songs. Oh my God. I don't know how many songs. A lot of songs. And this is the nitty gritty stuff. This is the stuff that can make you crazy because they show you, you know, if someone's sleeve brushes the guitar string, they notate that in the notation, right? Oh my God, you know, all the fine print, the stuff that you got to get your cheater glasses to read. But if you want to know how every note of, you know, their hit songs go, that's what you get. You want to take a guess as to the price of this one in the used bookstore? You ready? The last one was $4. $5. $5. I did not have this type of thing for teaching, the note for note stuff. So for $5, come on, man. For me, it's a business expense. I get to write off the $5, you know. So that's a heavy book, man. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway is frequent your local used bookstore. You never know what you're going to find, man. So yeah, and I'll tell you some more about some of the other books that I got that I did get more for my own personal benefit. But Joseph, when you mentioned the Eagles, you brought that to my attention. Okay. All right. Yeah, beginning guitar lesson says that he uses that one finger chord all the time. Oh, in fact, I will, in our play along song tonight, I'm going to illustrate, you know, using that. So there you go. Okay, my friends, time for a word from our sponsor. From the cool rushing waters of East Haven, Connecticut, Foxen Park. Tonight we're enjoying the Foxen Park draft style root beer. And this one also is caffeine free. Here's to you. All right. Bruce Lee. Never a bad time to bring up Bruce Lee. I saw a Bruce Lee quote recently. Now, Bruce Lee, I'm sure you know I'm talking about the martial artist, the legendary Bruce Lee. I saw a quote from Bruce Lee recently, and it gave me pause. It made me think. The quote is, and I'm assuming I'm getting this right. It was on social media, so I'm sure it's 100% accurate. The less effort, the faster and more powerful you will be. And let me tell you, the next time I sat down to practice my scales and arpeggios, just like you, right? You've been practicing your scales and arpeggios. I thought, okay, how can I play this scale with less effort? Well, I can use the minimum amount of pressure on my fretting hand. I can hold the pick loosely. I can play something that I have memorized, or I can memorize that thing I'm working on, so I can relax and just watch my hands as I play. Down up picking is the way to go, my friends. Any weird combination of 2 downs and an up and a down and 3 ups, make yourself crazy, and you'll never be able to play with a relaxed, flowing kind of feel. the less effort, the faster and more powerful you will be. So I don't know, keep that in mind. Are you working too hard? You might say, I practice 2 hours a day. I believe in hard work. Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Are you squeezing too hard? Are you tense? Are you fighting an uphill battle that doesn't have to be an uphill battle? Something to think about. Bruce Lee. There you go. My own dumb question of the night. I ask dumb questions, so you don't have to. In fact, if you do have a question and you're worried that it might be a dumb question, put the letters DQ before your question and then put it in the chat. And then we'll all acknowledge that, of course, it's a dumb question, but some questions need to be asked. So don't be shy. But this is my dumb question. My dumb question of the week. Why practice something that you're never going to use? Why? Why? I'll give you an example. A diminished arpeggio. I do not have plans to use a diminished arpeggio in any song anytime soon. And yet I am practicing a diminished arpeggio. Oh, by the way, this came from that book that I recommend, which I never seem to have right here to hold it up and show you. The Mel Bay complete book of chords, scales, and arpeggios. Love that book. William Collier, you got a copy of that book, I believe, right? On my recommendation, and I don't have any regrets. I recommend it highly, not because it's a mind-blowing book, but it puts a whole lot of important practice material right in front of you in one place. Okay. Anyways, why practice something you're never going to use? It's a dumb question. It's a fair question. Would you practice something just because a teacher told you to? Just because some YouTuber told you to? Even if you didn't like the song, it just looked like a random exercise. What if the person told you this exercise changed my life? Or this, remember that thing from a week or two ago, that what I call the 30-year exercise, when a fellow I saw on YouTube, on Instagram, said, here's an exercise I've been doing for 30 years. And I thought, ooh, I'm going to, he got my attention, right? So what do you think? Would you practice something? Even if you had no plans? I would. I do. Of course, man, of course. Well, why would you do it? I'm glad you asked. Number one, you never want your practice to be boring, right? If you've been doing pentatonic scales for days, weeks, months, years, especially if you're pretty good at pentatonic scales, dude, you got to practice something else, right? Number two reason to practice something, even if you don't know if you're ever going to use it, it's going to challenge your ear, challenge both your ears, right? What I just played just then, come back here, a diminished arpeggio. By the way, I'll put that in the description of this video when I timestamp it tomorrow. It forced me to use my pinky every other note practically. Yeah, just about every other note. The pinky was super important. It forced me to shift up the neck in what turned out to be kind of an easy pattern. This is a C diminished arpeggio. I did 3/6. The next string is just 4/7. The next string is 5/8. See how there's a little pattern at work here? So it turns out it was kind of easy to memorize it. So it opened up my ear to this diminished sound. You want to have ears that are open to stuff. You might say, I don't listen to music with diminished chords in it. Yeah. So imagine by pushing your ear to hear these jazzier, more sophisticated sounds, imagine how easy it's going to be to recognize the super familiar sounds, like the sound of a D chord that gets suspended, right? know, because you would have pushed your ear to hear even weirder stuff, for lack of a better term, you know. So far, reasons to practice something that you're never going to use. Number one, it keeps your practicing interesting. Number two, it pushes your ears to hear better. Number three reason, how do you know you're never going to use it? Man, never say never, right? Of course, especially if you want to find a way to use it, you'll find a way to use it, you know, but never put those, don't fence yourself in, right? Who knows, man? Who knows, you know? Okay. I'm sure I could come up with more reasons, but plenty of reasons to practice something, even if on the surface, you don't quite see yourself ever using it. If I had to come up with one reason, a counter argument, look, if you're doing some weird chord and your wrist is killing you, don't do it. Don't do it. Do you have a song that you have to play with that chord? Then don't do it. And one reason, even though I'm joking, one reason this is relevant is books like the one I'm recommending, you know, Mel Bay, Complete Book of Chords, Scales, and Arpeggios. There's a whole bunch of weird chords in that book. You might be tempted to say, man, I'm going to wake up every morning and I'm going to do a page of chords every day, you know, no matter what. Well, as much as I admire that sentiment, some things just don't feel comfortable right away. And you might ask yourself, wait a minute, I'm not, you know, I might be hurting myself and it might not be a good investment of my time. So scales and arpeggios, I feel pretty strongly about pushing yourself to learn all sorts of scales and arpeggios. Remember, all an arpeggio is there's two ways to describe an arpeggio. It's the notes of a chord played individually, as opposed to strumming a chord like that. Another way to describe what an arpeggio is, it's a scale with certain notes missing. You know, you've reduced the scale down just to a few of the notes of the scale. Okay. Pushing yourself to do chords that are painful, awkward, you've never heard the name before. Okay. I might draw the line there, you know. If you have a great song that you love and there's one chord you can't get just right, okay, that's a little bit different. You know, you might have to just work on that chord. No matter what, always listen to your body. Okay, that's my dumb question of the night. Why practice something you'll never use? There's a lot of reasons to practice something that you think you'll never use. Chaz is asking, how is that Chord-Melody book coming along? I'm not going backwards. I found a few typos, which is great, but other things have got in the way. The number one thing, especially now that I got my new guitar, is filming the video. The book essentially is done, except for a couple of typos. I just got to film the video. So the book is my Chord-Melody Songbook, Volume 1. I hope to do more, Volume 1. And essentially the 30 songs are done. And the next step is filming the videos. And I feel like I haven't promoted the book properly recently. And so if you're curious, some of the songs, of the 30 songs that are in the Chord-Melody Songbook that I will be putting out really soon, alphabetically, Chord-Melody versions of After the Gold Rush by Neil Young, Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie, Old Lang Syne, Autumn Leaves. Oh, you know what, you guys? Mr. Big Shot here is going to do this as a screen sharing thing. Can I do this? Come on, I got to be able to do this. Wait for it. Okay. Can you guys see that list right there? Just yell at me if you can't see it. If you can see that list, there you go. I'm going to scroll it for a second. Can you guys see that okay? Possibly. Yeah, you can. There we go. Okay, see that list? Ooh, look at that. Chord-Melody versions of Blue Eyes, Crying in the Rain. Look at all those songs. You guys are going to love this book. All right, so there's the first, maybe half of the book right there. Ooh, I hear some sirens. You guys hear those sirens? The first responders are responding. Okay, so hopefully that'll whet your appetite. Chord-Melody versions of those songs and many, many others. All right. So now I'm going to stop sharing the screen. How'd that work? Woohoo! Feel like Bill Gates, feel like Steve Jobs over here. All right, there you go. All right. So yeah, so Chaz, thank you for asking. And believe me, no one wants to wrap up that book more than I do. And actually, I'm very excited to put this guitar to use. It's got to start paying for itself. And I think this guitar is going to sound great for those chord melodies, you know. Might add just a little bit of tremolo to get a nice little warmth, a nice little warm tremolo sound. I think it's going to sound great. So, hey, I have been meaning to say a few hellos. So, hello, Charlie Joseph. Hello, Danielle. Hello, Chaz Bruce, Poopa John, Jackie O. Hello, Blair. Hello. Who else? Scott, Chuck, Cardboard. Hello, John Cavallo. Hello. How are you, John? Christian, of course. Hello. Digitalio, Rock Lobster, Caddis Rufus, Zoologia Zombie. Hello, you guys. Randy, A to Z Me. Hello. Okay, I think I got just about everyone. Matt Delahunt. Hello, Matt. All right. It's important to me to say hello. I know we have a lot of our regular members here. I know I'm not getting everybody, but that's who I got so far. Okay. Poll question. Quick check in. 81% say, of course, I got my guitar handy. That's why we're here, right? The SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. 19% say, no, I don't have my guitar handy, but I wish I did have it. I got it. I gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, so keep your questions coming in. Danielle says, there's a new Jimmy Rainey book published by Chuck Schur, PDF format available, getting good reviews. Very cool. Danielle, I know the name Jimmy Rainey. I have to admit, I don't know much about his biography and his recorded output, but I always like when someone reminds me of famous, well-respected players that sort of are on my radar, but sometimes I have to kind of trip over something. Oh, and I'll give you an example in a second. Sometimes I have to trip over something, and I say, oh yeah, man, that guy. So here's an example of that. And this is our quote of the week. Often the quote of the week comes from one of my students. I teach Monday through Saturday. I have about 40 students, either in person or online, including some of you guys. And very often someone just says something that strikes me as worthy of being the quote of the week. It just so happens that this week's quote of the week, well, Bruce Lee, kind of the quote of the week, but this other one is the official quote of the week because it's music related very specifically. And here it is. And it came from someone who I admit I didn't know much about. Terrific, well-known guitar player named Paul Gilbert. We have any Paul Gilbert fans out there? He's what I would call a hotshot guitar player. Can do all that cool shredding stuff. And he just wasn't on my radar. That has never been a style of music that I've pursued. So Paul Gilbert was never on my radar. But I saw a little clip of him giving an interview, and I thought, he said something. I loved it so much. I thought that is a quote I want to share on the live stream. Okay, so Paul Gilbert said, music theory makes understanding music a multiple choice question instead of an essay question. I love that so much. And that's why it's quote of the week. Okay, so here's how I interpret what he's saying. And I think I interpret it pretty correctly. With a decent rudimentary understanding of music theory, you know what your options are. Whether you're writing a song, trying to figure out someone else's song, maybe you want to play a solo on top of your friend's song. With a little bit of music theory under your belt, you can make really educated guesses. It's as if the teacher handed you a multiple choice test. You know, you're in the key of C and you hear a minor chord. You're trying to figure out someone's song, right? And maybe you've established that the song starts off on a C chord and the next chord is a minor chord. Well, instead of just taking random guesses, a little music theory kicks in and you say, well, it's a multiple choice thing. What are the minor chords you're most likely to hear in the key of C? You're likely to hear either A minor, E minor, or D minor. You can take an educated guess. It's really likely the minor chord is going to be one of those things. Maybe you're writing a song and you're banging on the C and you're singing a song on a C chord. And then you want to get the depth and the sincerity and the, maybe a little sadness of a minor sound. Well, you don't have to, wonder what minor chord goes well with C. It's going to be A minor, E minor, or D minor. They all play nicely with the C chord, right? So see how a little understanding of music theory turns things into a multiple choice type of test rather than an essay test. An essay test, you look on a blank piece of paper, you got to write everything and hope that you hit a few spots. You hit a few subjects that the teacher was hoping you'd talk about, right? You're hoping that you're coherent and your spelling is good and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I love that quote so much. Paul Gilbert, someone who I would describe as being in my blind spot, but once I tripped over him, so to speak, I don't know if I'm mixing metaphors here. You trip over something in your blind spot? I guess you could. Oh, now I'm a Paul Gilbert fan. So you guys know there's a little segment, part of a live stream that I call Some of the Coolest Guitar Players on YouTube. I found a cool Paul Gilbert video where he is teaching a lesson. Basically, it's under the umbrella of a Sweetwater promotional thing. So Sweetwater set him up with a camera, basically, and said, hey, teach a guitar lesson. So he taught this guitar lesson. So when our live stream is done, I'll put a link to that Paul Gilbert guitar lesson in the description of this video. And it's really easy stuff that he's showing. I mean, it's not rocket science. In fact, he even presents it that way. But it's a very cool thing that he teaches. I didn't watch the whole video. I'm going to go back and watch the whole video, but I think you guys will get a kick out of it. Okay, so Paul Gilbert gets quote of the week, and he also gets some of the coolest guitar players on YouTube award. Speaking of awards, I have something to tell you about awards shortly. So Charlie Beagle asks a great question. How do you teach kids considering their small hand size? Yeah. Yep. Well, you don't teach them bar chords. You teach them melodic stuff, hot cross buns, Yankee Doodle, This Land Is Your Land. Rarely is a kid, I mean, if a kid's hands are small enough to be an issue, not teenagers, right? Talking about much younger than teenagers. If their hands are that small, they're not coming in asking about power chords anyway, or bar chords anyways, right? That's not on their agenda. They just, think the guitar is kind of cool and, mom and dad are supporting them. So they're fine if I say, hey, we're going to play Yankee Doodle. My gosh. They're fine. They don't, they're down. They're down with that. So it might be a long time before a young student of mine gets into playing what we all would call proper chords, a full C, D, G, all that kind of stuff. I have done like maybe some chord changing with a 1-finger G. I'm just fretting the first skinny string of the 3rd fret and maybe just strumming the 4 treble strings. We could sing a song with just 1 chord. Frère Jacques. So, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, right? 1 chord song. If you're going to teach guitar, you got to have some one chord songs ready. And there's more one chord songs. That's one that comes to mind. And just give the kid a chance to strum, and find some rhythm. And we're playing a song, By the way, one thing I've noticed, speaking of kids and chords, some kids are fully aware that the guitar is a chordal instrument, and that in general, it sounds great when you strum a bunch of strings. And they like making that big ring, that big full sound. They just have no idea how to play a chord. But they're passionate about strumming multiple strings. It just sounds like it doesn't sound great yet. So to give them a one finger chord, like this G chord, and then tell them to the best of their ability to stay away from the two fat strings, they get some good satisfaction out of that. So another thing, Charlie, one more thing, is I get kids reading real music when the time is right. 7, 8, 9 years old, in that ballpark. Every kid is so different, but there's so many things to teach kids beyond big chords, big 6-string chords, 5-string chords. There's plenty of ways to keep things fun and interesting. I could write a whole book on how to teach little kids. 32 years, man. 32 years. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I'll leave it at that. I've seen it all. It's a great question, though. It's a great question, Charlie. If any of you are teaching someone, a grandchild, a neighbor, someone like that, someone pretty young, and you want ideas and suggestions, please reach out. I would love that. I would love to facilitate that. Email me at info@song-bike.com, info@song-bike.com, song-bike.com. And just tell me a little bit about the age. Hopefully that they're right-handed. If they're left-handed, they may want to play lefty. You can't always tell with lefties. Just tell me a little bit about the student. And I'll tell you what, little kids learn tab like that. They have no problems reading tab. Lines and numbers, great. I often put stickers on the guitar. I get these little white stickers. You can get them at any, Staples, Office Max, the Avery company. You get 1,000 stickers, but somehow it costs $22. The markup is outrageous. And I put stickers right on the guitar itself, right under the strings. Maybe 12, 1 through 12. Get kids playing tab. They follow the stickers. Kids will surprise you. Blair's asking a great question. What about open tuning for kids? Great idea. I don't recommend it. Not because it will lead to a certain type of success. Here's the deal. The kids can make so much progress in standard tuning. The only thing that open tuning would help with is playing major chords. Let's say the guitar is tuned to open G, right? But to get a different chord, the child would still have to, with their little itty bitty fingers, clamp across 6 strings hard to get the next chord. So it doesn't really solve the chord problem. Believe me, Blair, it's a great question. I've thought a lot about it. Especially when I hear some kid in standard tuning just wailing away at random strings when I'm trying to communicate, and my coffee is gone, and there's 39 minutes left in the lesson. Like, oh, whoa. So, like I said, over the years, I've come up with so much material to keep a young player entertained, challenged, educated, amused in standard tuning that I've never pursued doing an open tuning. And then as soon as a child's ready, getting them into reading music. And I wish I could tell you like 10 years old is the right age, or 4 years old, or whatever. Every kid's a little bit different, but I don't know. If you maybe 7, using the classic Hal Leonard guitar method, book 1, the black book with the guitar in the front. About half of you, there's 40 of you watching right now, about half of you own Hal Leonard guitar method, book 1. And I just sort of, I get a sense for when a kid is ready for that book. And then half of the lesson is reading real music out of the book, and half the lesson is continuing on with tabs and fun songs and stuff. So yeah. Okay, hey you guys, I realize we've been going for a little over an hour now, and it really should be time for our guitar play along song of the night. So why not? If not now, when? I teased at this song earlier. Song recorded many years ago, sung by a young man who is only, I believe, 17 years old. Does not sound 17 years old. Any guesses as to what song we're about to jam on here? Spencer Davis Group? Anybody? Gimme Some Lovin'. Who was this young 17-year-old singing this song in 1966, I think? Who was it? You guys know who that was. Oh, Dwayne. I was afraid someone was going to guess. Yeah, the Box Tops is not who we're talking about, but you all know why Dwayne put that in the chat, right? Dwayne, educate everybody. Who was the singer, the very young singer, singing "A ticket for an airplane, ain't got time to take a fast train"? Who was that young singer singing for the Box Tops, who went on to have a perfectly cool career after that big hit song? The singer for the Box Tops. Anybody? Yeah, I know you can Google it and find out. Alex Chilton. Very young Alex Chilton. Okay, we are walking the footsteps of Steve Winwood. There you go. Scott Rhodes, A to Z me, So Gimme Some Lovin'. I am bound and determined to make this preparation segment very short. When I timestamp this video tomorrow, I do not want to listen to myself talk about this song for 20 minutes, only to play it in 3.5 minutes. Okay, here's what you need for Gimme Some Lovin'. The G power chord. You need 3 on the fat string, 5 on the 5th string with a ring finger, 5 on the 4th string with a pinky. A 3-finger G power chord. Okay, now we're going to use a lot of power chords in this song because it sounds good, and also because it facilitates, for instance, what I just did there, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 3. If you're grabbing the G power chord, you have those notes. Okay, I did a down, up, down, up, down on the 4th string, and then a downstroke on the 6th string. Okay, definitely use those 3 fingers, index, ring, and pinky. We don't need the ring finger note yet, but we're going to need it as soon as the singing comes in, or even before the singing comes in. Okay, so as you know, that's the riff that kicks off the tune. It's a high G and a low G. That's why my name for that is the octave riff. It's an octave riff. Okay, as the intro finishes up and it's about to go into the verse, a little G, C vamp starts happening. 2 counts on G, we're going to do a G power chord. And 2 counts on C, we're going to do a C power chord. I just drop my fingers down 1 string towards the floor, a C power chord. By the way, you all are welcome to do a regular G, however you see fit, and a regular C. I'm going to show you the power chord approach because it's relevant to the rest of the tune, especially this pre-chorus business. But don't be shy. Feel free to do regular G and regular C, okay? So right before the singing starts, and certainly throughout the verse, we hear that back and forth. A G power chord, you take the same 3 fingers, drop them down 1 string towards the floor, you get a C power chord. You're okay with that? All right. One of my favorite things in recorded music is coming up right here. The vocal melody stays the same, but the chords begin this very cool march up in sound. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. I love that. The melody line happens twice, but the chords are changing. It's like the ocean looks all peaceful up on the top. There's the melody repeating itself up on the top like little waves. Underneath, there's like a freaking white shark. You know, the stuff is happening under the surface. Oh, I love that so much. I love it in general, and I love it in this song. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about, this pre-chorus. A G power chord for 4 counts. Hit it once, just let it ring. Move up 3 frets. Index is on 6. That's that B flat right there. Okay? Now you know where the C power chord is. And you move that up 3 frets. So in slow motion, the pre-chorus, index 3 on the fat 6 string, up 3 frets. C, up 3 frets. Now the chorus looks a lot like this verse business, but watch out, 4 counts on each chord. Give me some lovin', 3, 4. Give me some lovin'. Give me some lovin'. Okay? That's the whole tune. We're going to start in a minute. That's the whole tune. That's certainly everything you need for the tune. For those of you who are playing G and C the old-fashioned way, you're going to get to that B flat and think, oh boy, what do I do for B flat? I got you. For B flat, remember that 1 finger A from the beginning of the live stream? Take that 1 finger A, squeeze at the 3rd fret instead. That is B flat. Now you can only strum the 3 that you're touching, or the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, I should say. But there's your B flat right there. It's an A up 1. For the E flat, personally, I would just take that grip at the 3rd fret and move it up to the 8th fret. That's an E flat chord. It's the 1 finger A up at the 8th fret. Or another way of playing E flat, take your D chord, move that up 1 fret. Only strum the 3 skinny strings. So in slow motion, the pre-chorus, G. So glad we, here's the B flat, the 3rd fret, made it. Oh, for C, don't play your old-fashioned C, just glad up to the 5th fret. That's C right there, the 5th fret. So glad we, 8th fret, made it. So B flat at 3, C at 5, E flat at 8. So cool. And then you just hustle back to that G. I know easier said than done, but you know, you have 4 counts. Remember, I strongly suggest you strum the chord and just strum it once and let it ring for 4 counts. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And when I say let it ring, I don't mean you literally have to let it ring, but don't do anything else for the remaining 3 beats. 2, 3, 4. Use that time to switch. Okay, I'm dying to do this song. Let's just do it. All right, we'll regroup after this. The riff happens a whole bunch of times in the beginning. I'm going to do it just a few times. Okay, then I'm going to go on to this. And then, you know, by the way, at the end of the chorus, guess what? It just loops back again. This song happens on a loop. The outro of the song, it's just that I believe the chorus just repeats as the outro over and over again. We are going to take it a little bit slower than the original, because why not? Because we're here to have fun. All right. I think I'm good if you're good. That wasn't too long, right? All right. I'll see you on the other side. Octave riff. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my temperature's rising and my feet left the floor. Crazy people knocking cause they're wanting some more. Let me in, baby, I don't know what you got, but you better take it easy. This place is hot and I'm so glad you made it. So glad you made it. You got to give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving every day. Well, I feel so good, everything's getting high. You better take it easy, cause the place is on fire. It's been a hard day and I had so much to do. We made it, baby, and it happened to you. And I'm so glad you made it. So glad you made it. You got to give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving every day. Well, I feel so good, everything's getting high. You better take it easy, cause the place is on fire. It's been a hard day, nothing went too good. Now I'm gonna relax, I think everybody should. And I'm so glad you made it. So glad you made it. You got to give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving. All right. Any casualties? Okay, so you could see sometimes I strum those chords. Sometimes I did the power chords instead. Even though I said, hey, just let those G and B flats, I said, let them ring for 4 counts. I kept the strumming going a little bit in there, a little bit. If there was drums and bass and other instruments in the background, I'd be a lot more comfortable. So glad you made it. Hitting it like 1 and just let it ring. It's just me here. I feel like, I want to add a little bit more strumming in there, I was really crossing my fingers that you guys are doing some background vocals. Give me some love. And tell me someone was doing that, right? Somebody was singing the background vocals. I if you were, I could feel it. I could feel it, I could feel it. Yeah. So for those of you who could do, took one approach, then see if you can do it the other way. If you're playing the regular G's and C's, see if you can do it with power chords. If you're doing with power chords, see if you can do it the other way. When you get to B flat, you could do the B flat as a 1 finger. You get my point, right? However you chose to do it just then, come on back, either watching this live stream, or you guys know my number one goal is for you guys to actually play along with the actual song, right? And try different approaches. The beautiful thing about playing with the actual recording is they're going to do just fine no matter what mistakes you make. The recording is going to continue on. They're not even going to worry about it, right? So who was it? So someone said they were talking about playing along with some famous band on the recording. He said, "Oh yeah, I play with them all the time. They just don't know it." So try out different approaches, So, all right. By the way, you guys might remember I have a Spotify playlist for those of you who use Spotify of every song we've ever done. And this is, I think, number 41, 40 or 41. Can you imagine we've done at least 40, if not 41 songs like this? Songs I hate to say, oh, this is an easy song, because I know some of you like that was not easy what we just did. But we have 40 songs or so like this where your job is very clear. I like that word, clarity, right? Your job is very clear. You're either doing the octave riff, the verse, the pre-chorus. I mean, that's the whole tune. Or put it this way. If you were to hop on stage with a band playing this song, that's everything you need to take part in that situation. You're sitting around the campfire. That's all you need, right? So, yeah. By the way, the Blues Brothers do a version of this, and they do it in the key of E. So sadly, we can't put a capo on and instantly be in the key of E, not in a comfortable sort of way. We'd have to get the capo up so high. The capo would have to go on the 9th fret. Don't do it. It's not worth it. The Blues Brothers do a cool version of this. They speed it up. They're a little more aggressive. I'm assuming it's got Steve Cropper and Duck Dunn in the band of the Blues Brothers recording. And so I highly recommend listening to the Blues Brothers recording of this as well. Sadly, it's in the key of E. I thought about doing the Blues Brothers version of this. And maybe we'll do that someday, because it opens up some other possibilities being in a different key. I would guess that the reason why the Blues Brothers did it in a different key was because it's tough to sing that high Steve Winwood part, right? So yeah. Okay. So thank you guys. Thank you. I love our play along songs. Okay. Now we have plenty of time left, but let's do a quick regroup. Don't forget, I'm here for your questions. I love your questions. And I mentioned, okay, check. We have an award winner coming to town. We're a small town here in Connecticut, and we have Golden Globe Award winner Laura Linney coming to our town. Yeah, September 7th. Mark your calendars. September 7th. Is that not a Saturday, is it? I don't think it is. It is a Saturday. Laura Linney, she's going to be across the street. Laura Linney from the Big C, from Ozark, from lots and lots of stuff. John Adams, that's what she got the Golden Globes for the Big C and John Adams. Nominated for multiple Oscars, but she's never got an Oscar. I'm sorry. Hey, 2 Golden Globes, okay, and lots of smaller awards. Anyways, there's a beautiful theater across the street, and long story short, they give an award every year, and they get someone of her caliber to come visit our small town. And so Laura Linney is coming in a few weeks. There you go. Now you know. That's what's going on here in small town Connecticut. How cool would that be? What if maybe she can play guitar? We should get her to come and hang out in our live stream. And I will not bring up the fact that she has been nominated multiple times but has not actually won an Oscar. Oh, that's gotta hurt. But Golden Globes, and she got a lot of other awards. She was so good in Ozark, right? You got any Ozark fans out there? Okay, Laura Linney coming to town. There you go. Now you know. Next Saturday, it's possible we're going to hear some noise next Saturday during our live stream, because 1 hour before our live stream is the start of a big fire truck parade right outside our door. It's possible the parade will be over before we start. The local fire department is celebrating their 100th anniversary of being a volunteer fire department here in town. And they're throwing a big party. And as part of the party, they've invited any fire department that wants to take part in a fire truck competition. I don't know exactly the criteria, but I'm sure it has to do with, best vintage truck, cleanest truck, reddest truck. I don't know. I'll let you know when I find out. But anyways, a fire truck parade coming up next Saturday could be very interesting. We'll see what happens. Okay, so that's what's new in town. Fire trucks, and then a few weeks later, Laura Linney. You didn't expect that, did you? You didn't expect that Golden Globe winner, Laura Linney, and her name would show up tonight. I didn't either. Okay. That's right. A to Z Me. You think you're joking. A to Z Me says, if there's a fire that day, do they still do the parade? Typically what happens is another town provides coverage. They probably will stage, the other town will stage their fire trucks at some location in this town, like a sort of a central location that's big enough to hold a few fire trucks. And they'll stage there for a couple hours while the parade, the preparation happens and the parade and the cleanup and all that kind of stuff. So if anything happens in this town, we'll have another town standing by. I was in the fire department for 8 years, and that's how, towns would help each other that way. Almost all the towns in my immediate vicinity are volunteer fire departments. By the way, if any of you are volunteer fire or EMS, thank you for your service. And those of you who support those people, thank you for supporting any kind of volunteering in your community. Charlie says maybe it'll be a fire truck drag race. I'll let you know. I will let you know. Doug says, why is this channel called SongBike? I was looking for a name that would be a little bit, well, that would cause people to be like, wow, why is that your name? I love songs. I love bikes. When I was a little kid, I'd ride around town delivering the newspapers. I always had a song going in my head, singing to myself, humming myself, delivering the newspaper. Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Yeah, it was an afternoon newspaper, small town Massachusetts, where I grew up, delivering the afternoon newspaper 5 days a week. Saturday morning, it was a morning paper, no paper on Sunday. A lot of time on my bicycle, a lot of time with songs in my head. And when it came time to name my YouTube channel, SongBike. Oh, and there you go. The SongBike merch will be, I haven't forgotten about you guys who want those SongBike merchandise. It's coming. It's coming. I got some hats and t-shirts, and stay tuned that it'll happen. Beginning guitar lessons, I had to turn in, when I left, I did 8 years in the fire department. I moved to a different town. So the town I'm in right now, I don't live in this town. So I can no longer be in the fire department in this town. Just a rule, you got to live in the town to be in the fire department, which makes sense. So I am no longer in this town's fire department. And I decided not to join the fire department in the town that I moved to for lots of reasons, but not because it's not a worthy way, worthy way to spend your time. I did my 8 years. I did my tour of duty. I put the wet stuff on the red stuff, as they say. And I recommend it. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Le Wolf, are you an industrial firefighter? Is that right? Yeah, you did hazmat incident command instructor. Excellent. Le Wolf, I imagine that you did your fire 1, your fire 2, your hazmat, right? All that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you cross-trained as an EMT as well. Very cool. Chaz, you are ex-EMS. Yeah, beautiful. I did 8 years as a volunteer firefighter, and about halfway through, give or take, I cross-trained as an EMT, and got to see things from that side. Very interesting, and I recommend it highly. one of the big reasons, you guys, to be honest, is music means so much to me. It became difficult for me to not spend as much of my free time as possible doing music. It was tricky. This is where my heart is, and that's one reason why I decided that my tour of duty was going to end on a good note, and it did end on a good note. And I have a little more time in my life now to do music than when I was a first responder. Okay. I'm looking for any questions that I might have missed. Joseph, you're asking about the movie about Bobby Darin that Kevin Spacey starred in. Was that called Beyond the Sea? Beyond the Sea, maybe? Named after Bobby Darin's song, Beyond the Sea? Might have been. Okay. Chaz, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Super chats are one way you guys can support what we do every Saturday here at the SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. It's not the only way you can support. Hey, just by giving a thumbs up, we got 28 thumbs up for the live stream. Just by giving a thumbs up, it makes me feel better. So that's support, right? You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I like that, and YouTube likes that. You can get yourself something. Like, I'm going to do my show and tell again. Head over to SongBike. Believe me, if you purchase anything on my website, whether it's an electronic book, actually this is the free one, but there's other books that are not free, ebooks, or if you purchase the hard copy, physical book published by Howler Publications, believe me, that definitely supports what I do, and you're getting something for it, But hey, don't be shy. Since this one's free, let's just head over to the website and get that one. We're getting towards the end of our live stream, and I don't think I want to take the time to do stuff from this book at the moment, but maybe moving forward, I'll include a page from this book, during a live stream so that you guys can see what's going on. Or for those of you who already have the book, you can see me do it right here in person, although there is a video that goes to this book as well. Okay. A week or two ago, I mentioned an Instagram page that I like a lot called Classic FM. Classic, F as in Frank, M as in Mary. Even though it is Instagram page devoted to classical music, they have so much cool stuff on there. I highly recommend it for those of you who are on Instagram, Classic FM. One thing they just posted, which I haven't checked out yet, is the history of vibrato. Good old vibrato, right? When you play a note and you wiggle it, right? Well, vibrato did not start with us guitar players. It started, it certainly was being used by violinists before the guitar was even a guitar, right? Violin is an older instrument than the guitar as we know it. So Classic FM posted a link to the history of vibrato, and I can't wait to check it out. I recommend it. So I want to let you guys know about that. Okay. Other things. I got an email question, and I think now might be a good time to talk about that. In a minute, though, stick around for sure, because we're going to do a little bit of Stairway to Heaven in a minute. So bear with me, you guys. Michael asked a good question, and it had to do with his experience with the Ultimate Guitar app. And I know a lot of you guys, I would venture to say that the majority of you guys, I bet, use Ultimate Guitar a lot, and some of you might use it via the Ultimate Guitar app, not just the website. And Michael said, okay, Michael was asking about when MF and F are written under the tab. MF stands for mezzo forte, meaning medium loud. F stands for forte, meaning loud. Not every song will necessarily have those types of markings underneath the music, the tab. But those are known as dynamics. They tell you how loud or soft to play. P stands for piano. That means soft. Pianissimo, is super soft. Good luck talking about PP with 8-year-old students and everybody keeping a straight face when you talk about PP. It's kind of tricky. Pianissimo. Those are very relevant piece of information. I'm a little surprised because I personally have never seen those mentioned in your typical Ultimate Guitar tab, but maybe that's because I don't have the app. I don't know. So anyways, that's what those stand for. Michael asked about the vertical lines under the tab. And how about if okay, I'm going to do the screen sharing jive again. Here it comes. Right there. Share. Okay, let's see how this goes. Yeah, there we go. Can you guys see that? I know it's kind of small. Okay, so can you see my little cursor here, my little arrow? Okay, so F, loud, double F, fortissimo, really loud, right? So he was asking about those dynamics. Okay, the little lines known as stems coming down off of the zeros and stuff, that communicates the exact timing. A single stem that's not connected to anything else indicates a quarter note. Stems that are connected with a beam going across, like that one with the number 3 down there, or this one over here, indicates eighth notes if there's 2 of them, or an eighth note triplet if there's 3 of them. So I'm not going to get into the details of how to read rhythms, but that's what those stems and beams are for. The stems are the vertical ones. The beams are those thick black horizontal ones, and that has to do with the timing. Quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, all that kind of stuff. And then Michael's other question was those threes. Yeah, those little tiny threes. I'm pointing at it right there, little tiny ones. That indicates that sort of confirms that group of notes is a triplet. Triplets have the rhythm of blueberry, 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 blueberry. That's what a triplet feels like, you know? So Michael's questions are great questions. I think that was all of them. Bear with me here. Yeah. Okay. I think that was all of them. It's tricky. There we go, Andrew. It's tricky when you find yourself reading music or being faced with music, and not knowing what it all means, right? Especially in this case, what I just put up on the screen there was tab mixed with, a healthy dose of, let's call it proper music, for lack of a better name. And it's a lot. It's a new language, and that it can get tricky. So I get that. Okay, so I think I answered all the questions. Yeah. Hey, Michael also mentioned that he just got a Donner brand travel guitar, something that can sort of break down for easy travel. You guys know about the Donner brand, Donner, the Hush X, Hush-X, the Donner Hush X travel guitar. He just ordered it. Sounds like it hasn't arrived yet, but he just ordered it directly from Donner's eBay store. He saved some money. Very cool. Okay. Check that off my list. Okay. How are your questions coming along, you guys? No questions? No questions. Oh, there you go. A to Z Me, I see your question. It's a great question. It's not vague at all. A to Z Me says, I have a vague musical question. Any tips on finding the right key for your voice? That is, I would go as far as to say that's like the question. Certainly for any of us who want to play and sing, right? Let's call it one of the top 3 questions. It's you want to find the right key on a song by song basis. In a perfect world, you learn the song like we just did with Gimme Some Lovin', and if it's not the right key, a capo within the first 4, 5, 6 frets will get you the right key. End of story. that'd be perfect, right? That'd be great. Problem solved. What if you play Gimme Some Lovin', and the right key, in effect, you'd have to move your hand down into negative territory to find the right key. Or you'd have to put the capo up so high that's kind of ridiculous. Personally, I've never come across any famous song with a capo above 7. So in my mind, that's sort of like you get into no man's land. Not that I'm not saying it's not humanly possible. I in all my years, I've never found a famous song, with a capo at 8 or 9 or 10. Okay, so number one answer of mine is it's on a song by song basis. So it's not like, hey, I sing well in the key of D, but not in the key of F, because it's just not that simple. Just because a song is in a certain key, that alone doesn't mean you can or cannot sing that song. Well, how do I want to put this? Say you can't. Well, I can't sing "Give Me Some Lovin'" as high as Steve Winwood, so I dropped it down an octave. That didn't change the key. Just that when he sang high G, I sang 1 octave lower. Let's call it medium G. But it's not like we're born, and based on the way you were born and the way you grew up, as you went to adulthood, that suddenly you couldn't sing in the key of F. It's not quite that simple. But on a song-by-song basis, you can say, oh, the song was written in the key of F. I cannot sing that song in the key of F. It all has to do with the range that the song is asking you to sing. Some songs, the range is so big, it's hard to sing in any key. The national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, How about Somewhere Over the Rainbow? The first 2 notes of Somewhere Over the Rainbow require the singer to jump 1 octave from, for instance, a low G to a high G. Somewhere over the rainbow. Some songs are not forgiving, So a lot of trial and error. Hopefully not too much, but a lot of trial and error on a song by song basis. Music theory helps. It helps know what your options are. Here's an example. And so some of what I'm just going to say is going to make sense to some of you. Just fine. We've got 37 people in watching right now. And some of you are going to be like, dude, you lost me. I get that. But if you can't sing as high as the song, you want to drop it down an octave. But what if it's too low? That's not a problem. That's when you use the capo, So instead of singing a high G, say that the first note of the song is a high G. You sing the 1 octave lower, but maybe once you start singing 1 octave lower, you realize, oh man, if either that note or a certain point in the song you're singing so low you bottom out, right? Okay, well then that's not going to work. That's not the solution. But that's when you begin capoing up. Might only be a couple frets to get out of that swamp, and then you find the key that way. I've done that. That's all I ever do. I can never sing as high as the person, so I'm always bring it down an octave, and then if I need to, I use the capo. Plan B is you just transpose the song physically with your fingers. Oh, we could have done that with good old Gimme Some Lovin'. Imagine taking everything right there and doing it in the key of E. Not just because the Blues Brothers did it in the key of E, but because maybe that would have suited my voice better, So literally transpose the whole song in the key of E. Everything that was described as G, now that's going to be E. The C's would be A's. B flat would be G. G is in golf. E flat would have been C. C is in Charlie. So this is why I consider doing it in the Blues Brothers key. This whole pre-chorus thing would have been so simple. E to G to A to C. Easy peasy, right? You can do those with good old cowboy chords. I thought about it. Okay. So you're asking a great question A to Z me. I think hopefully that covers it. Trial and error, your two best friends, right? Trial and error. Okay. Hey, we got just a few minutes left. Let's do a very short thing on Stairway to Heaven. Here it comes. Ta-da. Oh, well, take a look at that. That's what we did last week. I got this week's right here. Okay. Those of you who were with us last week, this is what we did last week. We did the last approximately 2 minutes of the song. We're going to do the little segment that comes right before this week. Okay. So remember the last 2 minutes, from 5 minutes and 55 seconds to the end, there's a great guitar solo from Jimmy Page, and then the vocals come in and the whole song winds down. This is what we covered last week. If you were not here last week, go back and brush up. It's all time-stamped. You can find it, in last week's live stream number 59. What we're going to do this week is the 20 seconds. The 20 seconds that lead to this. Remember, we're doing Stairway to Heaven backwards because the ending of the song is easier than the beginning. And why not? I don't know, Stairway to Heaven backwards. Who was it? Joseph? Joseph said, Stairway to Heaven backwards is highway to hell. Get it? I like that, Joseph. I'm going to quote you. I did quote you. Okay. So this is what some people refer to as the interlude. It's an instrumental section that leads to that great guitar solo. What we're about to do right now starts at almost exactly 5 minutes and 35 seconds into the recording. Hey, Bruce, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Hey, Robbie, the free blues book gets emailed to you. Check your email. If you went to my website and requested the free blues guide, it was emailed to you to whatever address you provided. Maybe check your spam folder, but it was definitely emailed to you. That's how the website is set up. As soon as you enter your email address, pow, that the electronic book gets emailed to you instantly as a PDF. And if you, the only two reasons I can imagine why you're saying you don't have it right now is somehow there's a typo in your email address, which I doubt, or it went into your spam folder somehow. I don't know if you have like extra tough security that fought it out, but that you should be able to get it. Give it a try. Give it a try while if you want to, you do it right now while we're doing the live stream, and then you can report back. Check your spam folder maybe. Okay, so in slow motion, this is the part of the song that I was quoting at the beginning of our live stream in slow motion. You recognize that? Now I know it's faster. Da-da-dum, 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 dum, dum, dum. Okay, so this is going to be short and sweet. But I love this so much because big famous Jimmy Page, he's playing something that's not hard, but it sounds so good, and believe me, I'm right there with you guys. When I found out that it was just based on a D chord, I'm like, you kidding me, man? I've heard this my whole life. It never occurred to me that it was like a regular chord. Okay, so here's the trick. In terms of your fretting hand, grab your D chord, but immediately take off your middle finger. You're going to put it back down in a second, but take it off. The three sounds you're going to make involve strumming a D with the open skinny E string. Put your middle finger back down for the next sound, and then add your pinky, first string, third fret for the third sound. So you have essentially all this melodic stuff happening on your first skinny E string. Okay, now it's extremely important to play this with a down, up, down. Why? Because it's fast, and you can't go as smooth and fast unless you go down, up, down. but go slowly down, up, down. You get 3 chances. He does it once, he does it twice, he does it 3 times. Can't believe I didn't put in the down up designations here. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Okay, you do it 3 times. What happens next is another strum on the D suspended. By the way, that's D suspended 4. If you want to get academic about it, the D with your pinky down is called D suspended 4. The D with the open skinny string is called D suspended 2. It has to do with the fact that you're adding the second note of the D scale when you have the open E, and you're adding the 4th note of the D scale, D major scale, when you put the pinky down. So that's why the names are D suspended 2 and D suspended 4. Okay. So after you do that, ba-da-da, a second time, a third time, after you do it 3 times, one more strum on the D suspended, an extra strum. That's that one. An extra strum on the regular D. And then finally a new chord. Keep your ring finger exactly where it is. Index and middle moving over to a C add 9. Middle finger, 5th string, 3rd fret. That's the note C. Index finger, 4th string, 2nd fret. Now, Jimmy Page does some funny business in here. I'm keeping it just to that chord, okay? For about 8 count. Well, no, for 8 counts, you know? Da-da-da-da-da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? If you remember from last week, we're not trying to make this 100% exactly like every detail of Jimmy Page's guitar part. We want to get in the ballpark, right? And this gets you well into the ballpark, gives you a front row seat in the ballpark in slow motion. Second time. Third time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's what those 8 little hash marks down there. It's my little reminder to myself. The whole thing happens a second time. The second time, you only do 4 strums in that C add 9. 2, 3, 4. And then you basically go to a G chord. You might do a 4-finger G chord since that ring finger's already on that note right there. Any kind of G chord you want. But the 4-finger G chord is really convenient. Okay? That leads into this. Okay, leads into that whole strumming. The guitar solo with these chords in the background and the whole rest of the tune. Okay, next week, we'll do the part that happens before this part. Okay? Lots of regular chords. I love doing this. It just happens that in deconstructing Stairway to Heaven, it makes a lot of sense to learn the end and then the middle and then the beginning, you know? All right. So stick around for more. All right, my friends, I want to make sure I check that off. Don't forget, this will all be time-stamped tomorrow morning. Tonight, though, before I go home, I am going to throw a couple of things in the description of this video, such as the link to that cool Paul Gilbert lesson. I'm really loving this Bill Frisell Beatles album. It's called All We Are Saying. I'm going to put a link to that in the description of this video before I go home tonight. Man, instrumental versions of Beatles songs, but specifically John Lennon Beatles songs. I love it so much. Sometimes he and the band stay pretty darn true to the original song, Revolution. They do a great version of Revolution. And sometimes it's less faithful to the original, that they're having, getting more creative with it. But no matter what, I love this record. It's not a new record. I think 2011 maybe. But I'm digging it. So I'm going to put a link to it in this description of this video. But don't wait for me. The name of the album is All We Are Saying by Bill Frisell. got some great violin. Jenny Scheinman. I hope I'm getting her name right. Oh, I could be wrong. I think that's right. You know, I'm going to Google it. Oh my God, if I said the wrong name, that would be a bad thing. But what I do, when I am confident about, is the gentleman who's playing some nice pedal steel, maybe some lap steel on this album with Bill Frisell. Greg Leese is how I'm going to pronounce his name. I hope he doesn't mind. I hope I'm in the ballpark. I'm a big fan of him in general. And he does some really nice violin playing. Sorry, steel guitar playing on this Bill Frisell album. Yes, Jenny Scheinman. Whew. Some great violin playing, great steel guitar playing, and of course, Bill Frisell on guitar. Okay, so I wouldn't have slept well tonight if I did not highly recommend that album. Something about listening to instrumental. I mean, listening to instrumentals, I always think is a breath of fresh air, because something about hearing lyrics and singing constantly, it takes up a lot of brain space. Instrumentals, obviously, are wonderful. And when it's instrumental versions of songs you've heard your whole life, you hear them in a new way. And so I definitely recommend that album. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put a link to that in the description of this video. All right. I think I covered what I had set out to cover. I left a few things that we can talk about next week. We can talk about this whole idea of staying one step ahead of a song. I'll talk about that next time. Maybe next time we'll talk about a little, not a little, but a phenomenon where you know a pattern very well, but you might not understand all that's going on. And I found myself in that position a lot. And it's not the worst position. I mean, hey, you can play something great. Maybe you can even play it up and down the neck. You don't know exactly what's going on. You just know it sounds good, and you know that it took you a lot of work, and now you can do it. So the guitar is such a visual instrument. More than a lot of other instruments, it lends itself towards visual patterns everywhere. And so that's how we learn, most all of us. We learn all these visual patterns, like my whole thing about chord royalty, taking an F chord and moving it up and down the neck, right? So, but there's this division sometimes between knowing a pattern really well and understanding what you're doing. So I want to talk about that. Maybe we'll do that next time to whet your appetite. I am going to make an unboxing video one of these days, even though this has been Ivan's box for some time. But I don't know, all the kids make unboxing videos. So I'm going to make an unboxing video and put it up on YouTube, and we'll go do a deep dive on some of the nitty gritty behind my new guitar. That's on my list of things to do. Hey, big super blue moon on Monday the 19th of August coming up. So I think it's going to be a little bit rainy here in Connecticut, but hopefully you guys will get a good look at that big super blue moon, also known as the sturgeon moon here in the States. Something to look forward to on Monday, a big old moon. I hope everyone gets a good look at that. Okay, my friends, if you don't have any more questions, I think I'm good. Don't forget to head on over to www.song-bike.com and avail yourself of the resources over there. Don't forget to practice your guitar. Have some fun this week. Next week, we'll do this all again with the fire truck parade outside. We'll see what happens with that. I think that's going to cover it. Thanks again to Fox and Park. Crystal clear flowing waters of East Haven, Connecticut. They don't even know they're sponsoring this. I pay full price for each bottle. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your super chat donations. Don't forget to head over to SongBike and get yourself something for free. The Blues Guide. Check it out. All right, you guys. Stay well. Play your instrument. Don't forget, it's therapeutic. It's cheaper than therapy, right? I'll see you guys next Saturday. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. My weekend begins now. All right, you guys, take care.